The Shining, while being a confession of the moon landings, is also about the MK Ultra programs. That the movie itself, the plot, is about making a man into a murderer without him realizing it, which is what the MK Ultra programs were.
What was it? Kubrick said it rings crystal clear. The universe is indifferent. That's what I fear. If that's the truth, then why give a damn? Afraid of nothing, man, I'm making my stand. Chasing specters in the dark, and I'm feeling bold. With every sip of courage, I break from the mold. So many questions, infinity's maze, staring into shadows, lost in a haze. Is chaos my master, or is it just fate? Swimming through the cosmos, I can't hesitate. Afraid of nothing, nothing scaring me, except the ghost of Stanley. Do you hear the plea? Eyes wide shut, he's watching me now. Is there anyone there? Teach me. Take a bow. Afraid of nothing, roll the dice and play. Let the spirits guide you. Come what may, I'm here for the ride. No fear in my heart. With the ghost of Kubrick, we'll never part.
So, who's tonight's guest? I'll tell you who tonight's guest is. It's Jay Weidner, former director of content at Gaia.com. Called by Wired magazine an authority on the hermetic and alchemical traditions, Jay Weidner is a renowned filmmaker, author, and scholar. Considered to be a modern-day Indiana Jones for his ongoing worldwide quest to find clues to mankind's spiritual destiny via ancient societies and artifacts, Jay's body of work offers great insight into the circumstances that have led to the current global crisis. Jay's a writer-director of the feature film The Last Avatar, director of the critically acclaimed documentary Infinity, The Ultimate Trip, Journey Beyond Death, and writer-director of the documentary series on the work of Stanley Kubrick, Kubrick's Odyssey, and Beyond the Infinite. Jay was featured in the History Channel's documentary The Lost Book of Nostradamus, and was an associate producer and featured in the History Channel special Nostradamus 2012. He was also featured in the documentary Room 237, in Brad Meltzer's Decoded, and in Jesse Ventura's Conspiracy Theory on TruTV. Jay is a co-author of The Mysteries of the Great Cross of Henday, Alchemy and the End of Time, published by Destiny Books, and A Monument to the End of Time with Vincent Bridges.
Okay, so on the bucket list of guests, I would probably have, this gentleman tonight is probably one of my top 5. I've done over 130 interviews. His name is Jay Weidner. You heard all about him in the introduction. He is a man who many people have questions about life, but he actually takes the time to get answers. So, Jay, huge pleasure and honor to have you on the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for inviting me.
So I have to ask, I said, most people, everybody has questions, but few are called to actually try to solve and understand them. So at the very beginning, what started you on this path, and what was your method to uncover the answers? Because they're pretty hard to uncover. And some of the things that you did, ranging from Kubrick to the moon landing to JFK conspiracy and beyond, really took some digging. So what's your process to get answers where other people can't?
Well, first off, I'm a very avid reader, so I read a lot of books. Been very lucky in acquiring rare books that I was able to read over the years. And I'm also I like to solve puzzles. And I always have liked to solve puzzles. So when I came up against various things that baffled me, I just settled in and tried to figure out, what was really going on. And everything from the Cross of Henday to I used to help the Seattle police with investigations, and I gave them a lot of help. Then from the Cross of Henday, I went on to Alchemy at Fulcanelli, and then Stanley Kubrick came along, which was almost an accident. and the rest is history.
You know, I've been listening to you on a lot of podcasts recently, and actually for quite a while, to be honest with you. I heard you on one podcast recently talk about the alchemy of time. And I know alchemy is one of your strongest interests. It could cover many things, but you talked about the alchemy of time and how we're leaving the Iron Age and entering the Bronze Age. So, can you talk about this and what does it mean for humanity?
Yeah, so in the Yuga system from the Vedic studies, they believe that we go through 4 ages. I'll Americanize it so everyone can understand it. That's the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age, or the Kali Yuga. And this pattern, we didn't understand for years what was the driving force behind the pattern. So in the golden age, everything is like really good, and everybody's psychic, and food has got tons of nutrition in it. We live a really long time. And then we deteriorate down a little bit into the silver age, and then we have a catastrophe which sends us into the Bronze Age, and then we go down to the Iron Age, which is after the catastrophe, and then we go back to the Bronze Age, then back to the Silver Age, then back to the Golden Age. It's an oscillation, and that oscillation is governed by the oscillation of the solar system on the plane of the galaxy. So when we rise up above the plane of the galaxy, and we're rising up above it right now, and we rise up, and as we rise up, all of the debris that's at the plane of the galaxy blocks galactic energies. So when we're going through that debris field on the plane of the galaxy, we temporarily lose all galactic emanations. And this lasts around 5,000 years, 6,000 years. And then we come out of it back into the Bronze Age, which is what we're doing right now. And that's because the solar system has now come out from behind the galactic plane, and we're receiving the first galactic emanations, and we have been since about 2002, maybe, whenever the sun turned from yellow to white. So that was
Wow.
around 2002. So when the sun turned from yellow to white, which it is right now, that was us coming out from behind the galactic plane and receiving the galactic emanations. And over the next 12,000 years, every day is just going to get better. We're going to get more enlightened. We're going to understand the world around us a lot better, and uh, knowledge will increase. The ability to understand knowledge will increase, and I think most people would agree that they can feel like that is happening right now. And I think it's happening on like a turbocharge. I've never seen so many people waking up. Eventually, of course, this is going to mean the complete and utter destruction of the culture, because we're going to overturn it. Fortunately for right now, even though we've come out of the Kali Yuga and been out of it for a little while, we have incredible PTSD. I call it a hangover from the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga was so horrible that when it finally started going away, we were hard pressed to believe that we weren't still in it. And so we're not over that hangover yet, and we won't be over it for at least 100 years. Some people will get over it, a lot, others won't. So we are in this incredible time that is exploding in front of us. And I don't think that there's hardly anybody that actually understands what's actually happening right now. If we can somehow achieve free energy, or not free, but cheap energy, and couple that with AI and 3D printers, I don't know. It would seem like everybody would almost be like
Wow.
autonomous.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we're headed, and I think we're heading towards it like very soon. I think that the first job losses to AI are going to be happening this year soon. Unfortunately, most of the jobs being lost are going to be women's jobs, and that's going to have a rapid um, feedback effect on society, because once women can't find jobs anymore, and a lot of men are going to lose their jobs too. And I'm not talking like a year or two. I'm talking it's going to happen soon, like in a month. It's going to start.
Wow.
Then what's going to happen, I would guess, is that men are going to gravitate back to jobs that AI can't handle, and that would be physical jobs like car mechanic or plumber or something like that, and they'll make quite a bit of money actually at those jobs, and women will be not finding work anymore, and so I think we're going to return back to some kind of traditional family structure, just by economic force. So it's going to be pretty interesting, and we're all probably going to live to see it. What's happening on the medical front is probably even more astonishing than what's happening on all the other fronts that things are happening on. I would say that we are probably less than 7 years away from near immortality at the speed that things are going, and it'll be a piecemeal. We won't realize that we're immortal. We're just going to discover things that are going to, one on top of another, is going to create immortality. So the first thing that'll happen is they'll be able to replace your organs that are failing, including your skin, and that will be the beginning of it. And it's just going to get wilder and crazier. Um, my old friend, the late great Terence McKenna, he said in 1998 that things are going to get so weird that you won't believe it. And that's where we are right now. We're in the place where things are just getting so weird. And that's because we're moving out of this catonic state that we were in for thousands of years. You know, you think about how awful life must have been in a European village in the 1400s where there were no books, you couldn't travel, you did what your dad did, no way to get knowledge. You know, so what we're going through right now is just absolutely
So,
astonishing.
Jay, I have a question. You talked about near immortality in 7 years. That's more earthbound immortality, right? And is that a good thing? What are your thoughts about what happens to us after we pass? Is there, the energy factor or the frequency? And what are your thoughts about if we have earthbound immortality? Is that something we should not embrace, or do you think it's a good thing?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is an Afraid of Nothing paranormal podcast alert.
$10 merch. $10 merch.
That's right, podcast fans. If you go to our website, afraidofnothingpodcast.com, and click on the store tab, you too can find now $10 merch on the website. So not only can you get the great stuff like the hoodies and the t-shirt and the blankets and the glasses, you can also get stickers and bumper stickers and, well, a whole lot more. You need to see it yourself. But just remember this.
$10 merch
is now available at the Afraid of Nothing podcast store. Check it out. And remember, never be afraid to look good.
I think that you have to die. I think death is a good thing. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of suffering, but not dying. But I think that it would be quite useful to be here for, say, 300 years, because I believe that, and that's what alchemists want. They want to live here a long time because the amount of knowledge that you gain in the physical existence has an effect on what happens to you after you die.
Yep.
So the goal of the alchemist is to basically learn everything that there is to learn. And the more that you learn, the hierarchy, you go up higher on the hierarchy when you die. So there's a spiritual hierarchy, and you're trying to achieve the highest level on that spiritual hierarchy, so that because that's the path to the next level. So the universe is 99% plasma and only 1%, actually less than 1%, physical hard matter.
What is plasma? Is plasma just energy, Jay, or what is I mean, I know from a TV. What is it basically?
Plasma is ionized gas. So basically, in outer space, you'll have patches of, it's everywhere, but because of gravity, space dust accumulates and gathers together. And when it gathers together, each of the little tiny microscopic pieces of dust have a north pole and a south pole. And so a magnetic field is created around the space dust that becomes an ionized gas. And it apparently is intelligent. Ball lightning is an example of earthly apparitions of plasma. So ball lightning has been known to come right through the walls of houses. It's been known to come right through the walls of airplanes. A whole entire aircraft watched ball lightning come down the center aisle, and the ball lightning was like stopping and kind of examining people and things that were in the airplane, and then it went right through the roof without making a hole. To understand what this world is and what alchemy is pursuing, you have to understand what plasma is. So, plasma is all around us. We actually live at the bottom of an ocean of plasma, and the plasma is all around the earth, and there's clouds of plasma around the earth that are 10 times bigger than the earth itself. They're called the Kordylewski clouds.
What you just said there reminded me of something I heard you say at another podcast, is that we live in an invisible universe. So I guess what you're saying is 1% or less of all of the universe is matter, and that's where we are. We're kind of at the bottom. And the plasma, where all the really good activity is happening, is the 99% on top above us, correct?
That's right. And there's living plasma entities. Two reports in 2024 by a group of scientists came out with video and pictures of these plasma entities that are in our atmosphere. And they're what I believe is what they're calling
Mm.
UFOs, because you could live in a craft that could take a 90-degree angle at 1,000 miles an hour. The G force would kill you. But if they actually are alive, which I believe they are, because I've seen them, I think that almost all paranormal experiences that humans experience are our dealings with the plasma world. Ghosts, apparitions, strange objects, voices, everything that happens to us is our interacting with the invisible universe. And occasionally the invisible universe makes itself uh, uh, visible. It has to be the right conditions, the right lighting, and everything, and you can see it. And that's what people will see, and then they get freaked out because they think they've seen something, that terrifies them when really it's just denizens of the plasma universe. I'm doing a 7-part video documentary series on all of this. That'll be out hopefully beginning of 2026, maybe.
Wow.
It's a huge project. And so, what alchemists call it, plasma is the secret fire. Okay, in alchemy, you have matter comes in four forms. It comes in air, water, fire, and matter,
Oh, matter.
hard matter. Okay, so that is exactly what physics describes that our universe is. It's gas, which is air. It is physical matter, which is water, and it is plasma. And the plasma is what alchemists call the secret fire. And in alchemy, you cannot do any of your alchemy until you understand what the secret fire is and how to use it.
Mm.
Chi, prana, all the things that the Eastern religions teach, that you have this force in you that circulates through you and expands outward outside of your body. That's invisible, and that your health is governed by how much prana or chi that you have. Well, that's exactly right. And so what alchemy does is it create a series of exercises which teaches you how to absorb the plasma, how to absorb the prana and chi. And these usually involve light dark practices, um, because the recipient of the plasma is your pineal gland. So, what you want to do, of course, is find ways to enhance your pineal gland. And there's various exercises and things you can take and things that do that. A glass of 6 ounces of distilled water every day will remove the calcium from your pineal gland. And that's probably a good place to start.
You had a personal renaissance of sorts. You were diagnosed with colon cancer several years ago, and you overcame 5.5 years of sickness, depression, and even thoughts of suicide. But you came out stronger. And I'm wondering, is this where you kind of exercise what you just talked about the plasma, and where you had a lot of these learnings, or did you just apply it, or how did you come out from the dark and become a stronger guy and more attuned?
Yeah, it was through this understanding of plasma and then because the sickness itself gave me, insights
Mm.
into all of this, and then as I gained the insights, I realized one day that I just had to apply it all to it, and I invented a I didn't invent, I took a drink that another alchemist had given me, and I enhanced it. It's a morning drink that I do. I'm going to do a reality check show on my drink because everybody's asking about it, and I think I will do it. So, I just put things together and I realized that, oh my God, um, I, I was always at the edge, but I'd never gone over into thoroughly understanding what alchemy really was. It was like you can't understand
No.
alchemy through reading books, and I thought you could. I understood alchemy actually by getting ill and then asking myself, "Well, what made me ill? And why am I still ill?" And by answering that question, I got better. And now I know what, was making me ill, and I stay away from it. And, so the whole thing is this kind of,
You were working yourself to death.
I was. Yeah, I was working, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a
Oh,
day,
crazy.
6 to 7 days a week, and I was doing the startup, and there was really nobody that knew what they were doing quite like I did. I came in with the perfect skill set to get the company going, and, once I got it going, I retired, but it was too late. I'd already gotten the cancer, and the stress of it was just too much for me, and, I almost lost my marriage, and it was a dire time for me, but I'm glad I went through it because it taught me a lot of lessons that I would never have learned the other way, and I wasn't because of the job, I'd stopped I'd stopped being not interested in alchemy,
Mm.
but having any time to study it. So the job was robbing me of my chief interest in life. But in the end, it was all came out the way it should have come out. So I
Yeah.
have no regrets or anything. And I think it did make me stronger and it gave me an enlightenment that I could not have gotten if I hadn't gone through it.
I always wondered, like, why am I here right now? And is there a purpose for it? And then I see things happening recently. I think, well, maybe there is a reason, and I'll be experiencing something. So, I think you kind of touched on it already that we're entering the golden age. But can you kind of summarize again why you think now is a great time to be alive and why you're optimistic? And I ask that because this time a year ago, I mean, a lot of people were negative and we're talking about end times and World War III and nuclear warfare, and look, that stuff could still happen, but now, I mean, I've heard from you on a couple podcasts, there is a sense of optimism that we're ready to enter challenging times, but also something that's amazing to experience.
Yeah, we're being forced into a situation by the massive debt that we have. So there's like the only way to get out of the problem is to use the technology we have to create larger, more incredible technologies, and then we'll get out of our problem. And just of course, at the end game of all this is we're going to be is alchemy. We're going to have to finally resort to alchemy to get out of our current situation, and that will happen in time. It's just a matter of time, and every day people understand what's going on more clear than they did the day before. I think there's just a general feeling that we can do this, and I don't think that was there a year ago. And I kind of felt it a year ago, but I didn't want to say it because everybody was so dire.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Now I think it's time for us to see it, and I think we can feel it, and it is going to be both technological and spiritual. I believe what's going to happen is we're going to abandon the cities. I think the cities are going to be considered too toxic and people need to get out of them. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our high technology and our toys and we're going to go out and we're going to become sort of rural, high tech rural people, connected by the internet and by all the technology to each other and to the larger AI. You know, we have to worry about robot armies and a lot of other things. I'm not saying we don't, but at the same time, I think that we don't want war anymore, I don't think, and I think that's kind of the prevailing thing now, and we're sick and tired of it, we want it all to stop, and that's part of, coming into the Bronze Age. You begin realizing that the ways of the Iron Age were just stupid, and we just don't wanna be stupid anymore, and that's what I think is really going on, and the younger people are picking up on it a lot faster than the older people, and that's the way it's gonna be, and I think that, you know, if you run the entire government on I don't think you're gonna be able to hide anything in black projects anymore.
Yeah, that's something I heard you say as well, that probably 80% of government jobs will be run by AI and the rest by elected leaders or the bigger thinkers that we have.
Yeah, yeah, it's all gonna go away. Almost all jobs are gonna go away. Arthur C. Clarke said that the ultimate goal of technology is total unemployment.
Wow.
And I think he thought it would be something like, 500 years or something from now, judging from some of his books that I've read. But, it is just coming at us like a freight train, and I don't think Joe Sixpack and Joan Chardonnay have any idea what's heading at them. I just don't. And then the thing is that all this technology is going to get cheaper and cheaper. So we're heading into a hyper deflationary stage here very soon, where the most expensive stuff is going to be dirt cheap. And and people don't realize that this is happening. And it's almost impossible to explain it to anybody without scaring them. And so try to, tell them that it's not as bad as it looks, that being unemployed, do you really want to have a drudgery job? Because that's really the only jobs that are going to be taken away
Yeah.
are clerical jobs and pretty much horrifying work that we really don't want to do anyway. So I believe that once the human mind is freed from this, I think that we're going to be making a very, very interesting civilization. I have no idea what that is.
No worries. That was almost magical. I was gonna chime in that, I have my oldest daughter's getting ready to go to college. She's very smart, but she's gonna be a writer. I'm thinking that's things that AI may eliminate in the near future. So
People good. Graphic artists will be out of work. All coding will be done by AI. So
advisors, lawyers, right? I mean,
yeah, I was talking to my stockbroker. I said, "Hey, why do I give you so much money to buy my stocks, but I can just get on Grok and to ask Grok what the top 25% of the stocks for the last year have been, and I'll just buy that." And he had a long silence. And he goes, "We are deathly afraid of just that."
you had a great example I heard you talk about, you were recently settled, I think, a legal case and how much it cost working with a lawyer, but then if you just used AI, you could have found all the precedent much quicker and much cheaper and got it done,
What?
much sooner.
Yeah, just describe the nature of the case to AI and then say, okay, go find all the cases that are just like this case and all the ones that won and all the ones that lost, and then show me the ones that won what they did, and show me the ones that lost what they did, and let's just do all the stuff that the people that won did. And I would say within a year from now, not only will you have lawyer AI, but it will actually fill out all the forms and the legal documents. And I mean, I don't even know why you would even have a lawyer in the future.
Yeah, I heard that. I fell from my chair. I do have one question. You mentioned alchemy. We're going to be turning to alchemy. So, who is going to be our teacher, or is it something that a veil is going to be lifted, and it's something we're just relearning again that we already knew?
I think it's going to be a collective revelation led by the wisest people in the world. We're living through what I call the rebellion of the intelligent. So through the internet and through AI, the only people that will matter in now and in the future are the most intelligent people, and they'll be leading the charge.
Mm.
And one by one, they're going to see because they're piggybacking on top of each other and listening to all the other intelligent people talking. Pretty soon, we're going to reach a collective culmination of ideas, which will then be the singularity of alchemy, and we'll see it for what it is. So right now, I just want people to understand that, that they have immortal bodies, immortal plasma bodies that don't die, and that you go back up into the plasma cloud that surrounds the earth. And what you do in this life determines where you go when you die in that plasma cloud. If you've led your life right, then you're going to go to a really nice place. If you led your life wrong, if you it's not just, lying and cheating and all that that's gonna do you damage, but, living a bland life and not going out and exploring the world and not being interested and curious. That's also gonna have a big effect on you. So you can, be a completely moral person, but that's still not good enough. If you just
Yeah.
blindly accept facts and you don't investigate them, then it's not gonna go well for you.
I'm hoping I get some credit for being a podcaster, Jay, because I don't go out and explore the world, but I do talk to people like you. So I guess I kind of go out virtually, you know?
Yep.
You had also, speaking around the different time kind of frames of things, you had mentioned, I heard you also mention about every 80 years, we kind of go through a catastrophe for the United States, not for the bigger timeline for Earth or the universe, but like every 80 years. And it started with like 1776, the revolution. Then it hit again in the Civil War with Abraham Lincoln. And then it hit with, I think you said, FDR, right around World War II. And now, probably 80 years after World War II ended,
Yep.
I guess exactly, we're experiencing it now under President Trump. So it's almost like a wave, up and down. We're supposed to experience this. And can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the interesting thing now is that for some reason, it's now become the whole world. It was the
Yes.
United States all the way up until 1945, but now the entire world is going through the 80-year
Mm,
thing. And so, it's happening in everywhere, in England and France and Europe and Russia, China, South America, but most prominently in the United States. I'm not sure how we came to be the leader of the wave, but we did. And yeah, and actually, to be honest with you, if you go into history, even 80 years before 1776, late 1690s, there was a big, huge wave of stuff going on in the United States. So ever since the Pilgrims arrived here, we've been going through these 80-year cycles, which is also 80 to
yeah.
85-year cycles, which is also the orbit of Uranus,
Wow.
by the way. And it always ends in war. Every single
Yeah.
cycle ends in war. So
Is that what we're heading
um,
for? Is that what you think we're heading for, or no, this time around? Or
I think we might be able to break the cycle this
that
time
would be good.
because we're now in the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Trump is trying to do. And I think Trump is so aware of these cycles because one of his top advisors is Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon did a huge documentary on all these cycles. And so I think that Trump is well aware, and that's why he's calling that we're in the golden age because he knows. I don't know how he knows, or I'm sure he doesn't listen to me, but you never know.
It's weird that he had this plan that's going into place so quickly, so quickly. So it's almost like he had it pre-planned, or those 4 years with Biden, there was planning. I don't know, there was planning going on or whatever. But it's I work in corporate America. We have a hard time getting a marketing plan out in a couple months. It's
Exactly.
like God.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of that weird stuff about Trump, Baron Trump from the 1905 or
Right.
whatever.
That's yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was a time traveler, and he lived exactly where Trump Tower is right now in Manhattan. And Trump's uncle got Tesla's papers when Tesla died, and Tesla knew all about these things that I'm telling you about plasma and how everything is in this ocean of plasma. I just really got to wonder what Trump knows and what he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard about quantum physics and energy and love and consciousness. I never heard about plasma too much until I started to listen to you. Who are your mentors besides reading books? Are there mentors that you have that that have helped you on your path and your discovery?
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of some reason older people. Ever since I was young, I was always hung out with people that were at least 20 years older than me.
Wow.
So when I was in my 20s, I was hanging out with people that were 40, 45, like Robert Lawler, who wrote the very first book on sacred geometry. William Irwin Thompson wrote a bunch of really interesting books on history. Well, these older guys take this interest in me, and I have no idea why. Now that I'm, in my 70s, I don't have anybody older than me, so now I've become the elder, and I've got guys that are in their 40s and 50s who wanna hang out with me, and then so it's me listening to much older people, trying to figure out how they understand the world, and then couple that with books and now, of course, the internet. That's been basically my whole life. My When I was in my 30s, and 40s, long before the internet came along, I would literally spend my entire weekends just, looking for information,
Hmm.
going to book sales, going to libraries, just constantly looking for new information and finding people that owned books and becoming friends with them so that I could read their books. So it's been a mad quest for me to know as much stuff as I can possibly know.
It's too bad AI didn't come 20, 30 years earlier, because you would have written, just imagine how much more you would have been able to research and get things so much quicker.
Yeah, I know. I share your feelings. However, I think that we're in for such a revolution. We're going to become invested in making a nice world. And that's where I think we're headed. It's going to be like an investment of ours that we must do it, that it's super important to stop fighting with each other and make a nice world. And I think we gotta, the old religions are all gonna go away. I'm sorry to say. I know there's probably religious people listening, but we're gonna realize that the religions that we practice are actually artifacts from the Kali Yuga. They were all born in the Kali Yuga, and they were designed to let people cope with the horrors of the Kali Yuga. But as we and I would choose Christianity and Buddhism as the two major religions that teach us how to cope with the horror. And now that we're coming out of the horror, those religions are going to look kind of antiquated. And we're going to have new spiritual belief systems that are based on alchemy, on plasma, and understanding that we can consume vast amounts of plasma, and that will make us healthy and intellectually wise and spiritually wise. And we have to understand that. And it's the food you eat, it's the air you breathe, it's the water you drink, it's the people that hang out with you. I saw a great meme today. It had a group of oranges sitting on a table, and one of the oranges was rotten, and the orange that was touching it next to it was starting to become rotten. And underneath it said, "Remember who you're hanging out with," right?
Yeah.
And it's really true. So you need to vet your friends and get rid of the ones that are dragging you down, and keep the ones that are helping you go up. And it's a hard, cruel world, but you're in for your own spiritual advancement here on the physical plane. When the plasma being decides to come down into the physical plane, it's like really special thing that's happening, and the plasma being is actually getting to feel what it's like to feel pain and sex and drugs and fun and dancing and all those things. And so if you're not fully aware and alive, then you're wasting your life, and that's a real sad thing.
Wow. Now you're Irish, so I'm gonna guess you grew up Irish Catholic maybe, and when was the turning point for you when you went away more from religion to spiritualism to, I guess, what would you call yourself now? Would it be science and spiritualism, or where would you fall?
Yeah, I practice Taoism. I believe that Taoism is actually a series of practices that allows you to absorb plasma. It's an alchemy from the East, from China, and so I'm a practicing Taoist. My turning point, well, let's see. My turning point happened when I was very young. Actually, I was 7 years old, and through a series of circumstances, my little brother had just been born, and we were very poor, and we were Irish Catholic, and we had a two-bedroom house, and my little brother was born, and now we had four kids and two adults in a two-bedroom house in the middle of the city. And my brother and I slept in one room, and my sister slept in the closet of my parents' bedroom. That's how poor we were. And then when my little brother was born, my sister had to move into our bedroom so that my little brother could sleep in the closet. And so on the very first night that my sister put her little cot down at the bottom of our double bed, I woke up at about 2 in the morning, and there were three translucent beings
Hmm.
doing something to my sister. I'm not sure what. It almost looked like they were laying their hands on it, and she was sleeping. And I gasped, and one of the beings saw me, heard me, and came over and looked at me, and it was a female, and touched my third eye and paralyzed me completely, but I could still see. So I watched them, floating around the room for like 15 minutes, and then they went out the window, right through the window, and I could see through them. They were humanoid. They were very sentient and conscious. And ever since then, I've been on a quest to try to figure out what exactly I saw that night. And
Did your sister remember that at all, or was she too young?
no, but I told her finally about 15 years later about the incident, and she burst out crying.
Wow.
And I said, "Wow, what's going on?" And she started to tell me about all of these weird incidences that she had had happen to her that she was too afraid to tell anybody, including being saved by she was falling from something on she was rock climbing or something, and she was going to fall like 50 feet, and clearly she would have died. She said a force reached out and grabbed her hand and pulled her back, and she had all these weird incidences, and she has flaming red hair and pale white skin. We know that, well, in the animal world, we call it orange cat crazy, right?
Yeah.
Orange cats are the craziest of all the cats, and red-headed animals are usually, for some reason, a little wilder than all the other animals. And I believe that's true about humans too. I believe there's extra iron in their hair, which causes the electromagnetic field, the plasma field, to be enhanced.
Wow. And do you think those were aliens? Do you think they were archon? What do you think they were? What type of beings? Or do you have any
They're
idea at
plasma
all? What is she?
beings. They're all around us. They they're in the room with you right now. Um, they don't pay much attention to us. Are not really all that interested in us.
What are they called again, Jay? I'm sorry. What are they called?
Plasma beings.
Oh, plasma beings. Okay, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know this guy who he was working construction, and one of those big heavy hooks that are on the end of the crane hit him. Even though he had a hard hat on, it still hit him in the head and bounced his brain around in the skull and caused a big bruise, a head concussion. And, he went to the hospital. He's in the hospital for like a week, and the doctors watch it. Finally say, "You got to go home. You can't work for 2 weeks." So he goes back to his little apartment where he's living, and he's making himself a sandwich. And he looks over and he sees this translucent being, a humanoid, walking around in his apartment. And then he looks and he sees another one, and he sees another one, and he sees that they're talking to each other. And he starts watching this and he can't believe what he's seeing. And then one of them looks over and sees that he's looking at him and comes over and looks him straight in the eye. And it so freaked him out that he didn't know what to do. And so he decided that he was just going to ignore them because they freaked him out so much, and he was going to sleep with a blanket over his face so he didn't have to look at him. And then about a week later, he started feeling better, and as the bruise on his brain began healing, they faded away into nothingness, and he didn't see him anymore. And he was very thankful about that because it freaked him out. And so the electrical current in the brain got disrupted by the accident, causing the plasma brain to have a rupture and causing him to temporarily be able to see all of the plasma beings that are all around us all the time.
Wow. I would be remiss, and I know we only have like 10 minutes left, but I would be remiss, at least not to get a tease out of you on the Kubrick Odysseys, because that's where I first came. I saw the movie 237. Was that by Ari Aster? Was he the director of that? Who was the director of
Yeah, Rodney
237?
Asher.
Yeah, Roddy. Yeah, he's great. Um, he did also The Nightmare too, I thought. I'm not sure.
Oh my God, what a great movie.
That's a phenomenal. I've watched it like 7 times. It's ridiculous.
It's kind of what I'm talking about, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you had a second favorite director after Stanley Kubrick, would he be it or would it be someone else?
I would say that's a really good question. I've never been asked that. I would guess that
There's no one like Kubrick, so it's crazy, right? But yeah.
I think I would actually have to say Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't like Hateful Eight, but I like everything else.
yeah. Now, let me ask you if you could just tee up for the audience so that they'll have interest and check out your movies. The Kubrick Odysseys, it's a 3-part trilogy. Just very quickly what the first and second are, and then give us an entree into A Clockwork Shining, which is really an interesting thing. What you've discovered, which is really incredible when I started following you before, was you see the intricacies in Stanley Kubrick's films, kind of what's in the backdrop, what's going on, kind of the symbolism and the subliminal messages. And it's almost like once your attention is brought to it, then you're like, yeah, God, you can't like take your eyes off of it. So I was wondering if you could just give us an overview of how you started the Kubrick Odysseys, what each one is about at a very high level, and what you've learned and where you've netted out now.
Well, I did a whole bunch of work on the moon, on NASA's pictures on the moon with Richard Hoagland in the early '90s, and we went to all the NASA facilities, and I looked through all their archives and their photographs, and I'm a photographic expert, and that's the reason I was doing it. I was trying to figure out exactly how they did it, what they did, and everything. And it was while I was going through them, I recognized that there was always a horizontal line in the landscape photos taken by the
Right.
astronauts on the moon. And I was perplexed by it. And I knew a little bit about a thing in cinema called front screen projection. And in the back of my mind, I was always, is that front screen projection that I'm looking at? And front screen projection is where you project like a slide behind actors, and it looks like they're out in the desert or they're on the ocean or whatever. It was pretty blue screen technology that they used, and Stanley Kubrick just happened to be like the premier front screen projection director because he used it all through the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yep.
So I got the DVDs 2001. I started watching it, and then I realized that the same exact effects that were used on the moon photographs and video were also used in 2001. And I realized that 2001 happened exactly concurrent with the Apollo program. They both began in 1964. Apollo culminated in landing on the moon in '69. Uh, 2001 culminated in 1968, the release of 2001. So now I was putting all that together, and then I wasn't gonna go public with it or anything. I was just putting it together, and then I saw the Blu-ray, a DVD of The Shining, and I hadn't seen it in like 15 years. The movie The Shining, and I was watching it, and then I realized that all the places that Stanley Kubrick changed from the Stephen King book, he was talking about the moon landing, all of it, every single time, and then I was completely blown away because now I had absolute proof that Kubrick had a confession in The Shining of doing the moon landings. So Kubrick's Odyssey 1 is all about that. Kubrick's Odyssey 2 is about how 2001: A Space Odyssey is actually about alchemy. That Kubrick was giving us a high level symbolic explanation of alchemy. I've been told by several of his assistants that alchemy was one of his favorite hobbies, reading alchemy books. And then the final Kubrick's Odyssey 3 has just come out within the last year, A Clockwork Shining. With help from my friend Ryder Lee, we posit that The Shining, while being a confession of the moon landings, is also about the MK Ultra programs. That the movie itself, the plot, is about making a man into a murderer without him realizing it, which is what the MK Ultra programs were.
Yep.
And I really think that A Clockwork Shining is the culmination of the trilogy, and it's up on Amazon. Anyone can go see it.
Yeah, I would recommend everybody, and I'll put it in the notes too. I would recommend they check out A Clockwork Shining. Also, Room 237 is great too. I mean,
Yeah,
I know that wasn't your film, but you were in it. You know, you're a lot in it. So,
yeah. No, Route 237 is a great film.
and you believe that MK Ultra that program is still around today? Is that correct?
It's gone public. I mean, it's generally every movie, every TV show. They're working it constantly all the time, all the news, all of it. Now it's gone completely normal, normalization of MK Ultra. It's
Uh,
why we're all kind of loony and crazy. Why people are losing their minds, or they're making us mentally ill. It's one of the reasons I made the film, so we can get out of this mental illness that they put us in.
what do you think about that kid that tried to assassinate President Trump in Butler? Was it Butler, Pennsylvania? Do you think that was involved in that, or just not
Yes,
enough information? You do.
yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
really
interesting.
disappointed that they're not opening an investigation into that assassination. Really weird.
Yeah, so definitely the, Kubrick Odysseys, I'm actually gonna watch. I think I'll go watch the second one, actually, I want to see that again. So you said that is that on, like, Tubi, on Amazon Prime? Where can they see those?
Yeah, Amazon and Gaia.
JFK, you recently did a film on that, I believe, but what really went down, and what did you think about what, the Trump administration has is made available so far about the JFK assassination? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm not too impressed with what they've released at all. I'm hoping something will come out of it, but it's so boring and bland. You have to wonder why they're even keeping it secret. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to give up the ghost too much, but if you really want to find out what happened on November 22nd, 1963, go see my film JFKX, which is on Amazon again. I believe it's free if a member, and it's on Tubi also, and so is The Clockwork Shining. It's up on Tubi also.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw it, yep.
I'm making a sequel to JFKX, so that's gonna be interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I've found a lot of new stuff out. But basically, because of the pressure that JFK was feeling, from mostly the mafia, who had a hit out on him, and we know that because the FBI had a recording a couple months before the assassination that they had a hit out on JFK. JFK was forced to take precautions that made it look like he was assassinated.
Mm.
And if you want to find out the secret, go watch JFKX. We have a super enhanced version of the Zapruder film. We had 4K enhanced, and you can actually see what's going on, and then I explain what you're actually seeing in the Zapruder film. And I have to say, I thought I was going to get a lot of crap from everybody, but I've had more people come up to me and say, that's probably the most logical explanation of all I've ever heard, and I've been very surprised by the response.
Yeah, well, I think how you generally present things. I'm sure people are a lot more amenable to it now than maybe in 1990 or whenever you started this stuff. But I think the presentation is very solid. My last question is, what is one conspiracy that you haven't tackled but are intrigued by, if there is one, unless you've tackled everything?
Oh, uh, 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 Paul is dead.
Oh, interesting. The Beatles. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was
That's
almost on the edge of doing a very extensive documentary on the whole thing and the Beatles as an MK Ultra operation and all of that. And the guy that I was doing it with, who was really the expert, I think his wife told him to cancel, and she was getting cold feet. And I understand. I totally understand because you're
yeah.
messing with seriously powerful forces when you're dealing with
Wow.
Tavistock and some of these other things. But it's an endlessly fascinating subject, and uh, literally could have done a 3-hour documentary on it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I find in this life, every time the older you get, the more lies are revealed to you. And it almost seems like your goal in life and death is to find the truth, and hopefully we'll get there. So, last thing, Jay, if you don't mind, again, I'll have in the show notes, but please direct. Is there a website? Is there a YouTube channel, a podcast? Please share that with our audience right now.
Yeah, yeah, all my articles are free at jayweidner.com. And I have a YouTube thing which I've kind of neglected, but I'm coming back now and doing it. It's called Reality Check, and it's just type in on YouTube Jay Weidner Reality Check, and it'll go right to it. There's a bunch of other people that have since named their shows Reality Check. I used to be the only one. Now there's like 5 others. So you'll have to type in my name, and you get all these other ones that are bigwig news people that have a reality check on there. And that's about what I got. Oh, if you want to see my movies, they're up at Gaia. I have about, I don't know, 24 documentaries up on Gaia and Amazon. Healing the Luminous Body. A lot of it's on alchemy. And I think you'll enjoy it if you enjoy what I'm saying here.
What's your favorite one? Is there one pet favorite of all the things you've done? You're like, God, I really like this.
Yeah, Infinity.
Infinity.
My,
Okay.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, my film about life after death.
Cool. Is that on Gaia or is that on the other
Yeah, it's on
channels?
Gaia. It's probably the biggest hit movie I ever made. Oh, no, the biggest hit movie I ever made was, 2012, The Odyssey and Kubrick's Odyssey.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I would
I
say.
think Infinity is, it's my attempt to make a shamanic film, and I was trying to make a film that you would not think, but you would feel. And I think I got really close to it.
All right, Jay Widener, there's so much things we could talk about, and I think we've only scratched the surface, but we did learn so much tonight. I appreciate you taking time on a Memorial Day weekend to spend this hour with me. So thank you so much. Your films are ones that you not just watch, but you watch them 2-3 times to get your head around it. You really come away with the message. So appreciate all you do and appreciate your curiosity and following up on things to get answers because not many people do that.
Well, thank you for having me.
What was it? Kubrick said it rings crystal clear. The universe is indifferent. That's what I fear. If that's the truth, then why give a damn? Afraid of nothing, man. I'm making my stand. Chasing specters in the dark, and I'm feeling bold. With every sip of courage, I break from the mold. So many questions, infinity's maze. Staring into shadows, lost in a haze. Is chaos my master, or is it just fate? Swimming through the cosmos, I can't hesitate.
Hey, you're still here? Great. Then why not listen to another episode? Visit afraidofnothingpodcast.com to peruse all the shows. That's afraidofnothingpodcast.com.
And while you're there, click the coffee cup icon to buy me a coffee and leave a review. I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming episode, and the world will know how swell you are.